Welcome to Food Safety in Temporary Food Establishments, Part 4, presented by the Environmental Health Division of the 1st District Health Unit. This is Part 4 of the food education course that is only valid for those employees that work in temporary food establishments. If you work in any other food establishment, you will need to view the 9 parts of the 1st District Health Unit Food Safety for Food Service Employees course. As you watch the presentation, take notes. At the end of each part, you will be given a test code. Write it down in your notes. Once you have watched all 4 parts, contact a 1st District Health Unit office to schedule your test. Bring your notes, the 4-part test code, a valid photo identification, and the test fee with you to take the test. This section covers employee practices. Each food establishment is required to have a person in charge, or PIC, at all times. The PIC must be knowledgeable about food safety. They must ensure that employees are meeting food code requirements including, but not limited to, proper hand washing, proper cooking temperatures, the employee health policy, and no bare hand contact. Employees must have their hair restrained. Proper and approved hair restraints for the hair on your head include hats or hair nets. Notice that the hair is pulled back and restrained by the hat. If your employees have facial hair, the proper hair restraint is a beard net. Employees of food establishments may not eat in any food preparation or storage areas, or in any area where food or equipment may become contaminated. Employees shall not use chewing tobacco or chew gum while working with food or food contact surfaces or single-use items. Beverage containers in a food preparation area must be covered. An open glass is not acceptable, but all of the types of containers seen in the picture on the right are considered acceptable. While you are working with food, do not smoke or eat, or wipe your hands on your clothing, or handle food with bare hands, or adjust your hair, or wipe, scratch, or blow your nose, or adjust your clothing, or wipe your hands on a dirty apron. Smoking is prohibited in any part of a food establishment. Smoking and cooking do not mix. Next, we're going to talk about floors, walls, ceilings, and equipment in your food establishment. When you are cleaning food contact surfaces, you have 2 options. You can clean them manually using a 3-compartment sink, or you can clean them mechanically using a warewashing machine. Whichever you use, warewashing is always a multi-step process that involves pre-cleaning, washing, rinsing, sanitizing, and air drying. When you wash food, you must wash the food contact surfaces with a detergent such as dish soap. This is done in the 1st compartment of a 3-compartment sink, or it is done as part of the cycle in a mechanical warewashing machine. The next step is rinsing. You want to rinse the detergent solution off of food contact surfaces with a clear water rinse. This is done in the 2nd compartment of a 3-compartment sink, or it is done as part of the cycle in a mechanical warewashing machine. The next step is sanitizing. Food contact surfaces must be sanitized to kill germs. This is done in the 3rd compartment of a 3-compartment sink, or it is done as the last part of the cycle in a mechanical warewashing machine. Sanitizing can involve chemicals or hot water. Finally, you must air dry equipment. After the sanitization step, surfaces must be allowed to air dry. You may not dry surfaces using a cloth or towel. Air-dried utensils may be polished with a clean dry cloth to remove spots. In a temporary facility, you may use 3 tubs or containers. In the 1st tub, you will wash your equipment with detergent. In the 2nd tub, you will use a clean water rinse to rinse off the detergent. And in the 3rd tub, you will sanitize using chemical sanitizer. If you have access to a dishwashing machine, you must operate the machine according to the manufacturer's recommendations. Dishwashing machines also sanitize with either hot water or chemicals. There are 3 common types of chemical sanitizers approved for use on food contact surfaces in a food establishment: chlorine, quaternary ammonia, and iodine. Chlorine can be from a commercial or institutional type product, or from some formulations of chlorine bleach. You need to have at least 50 to 200 parts per million chlorine, and the chlorine must be in contact with the food contact surface for at least 30 seconds. Quaternary ammonia is commonly called quat. You must have at least 200 to 400 parts per million quat, with a few specific formulations allowing 150 to 400 parts per million quat, and this quat solution must be in contact with the food contact surface for at least 30 seconds. For iodine, you must have at least 12.5 to 25 parts per million iodine, and it must be in contact with the food contact surface for at least 30 seconds. To use chlorine bleach as a chlorine source, the label must have specific language with directions on how to use on dishes or cups or food contact surfaces. For chemical sanitizers, you must have test strips on hand appropriate for testing the concentration of the chemical you are using. There are different types of test strips for the different chemical sanitizers. The test strip is dipped into the sanitizer solution and then it changes color. The color change is then compared to a scale that comes with the test strip to determine what the concentration of sanitizer is. You must wash your hands before handling equipment or single-use items. Do not contact the food contact surfaces of these things with your bare hands. When handling any type of silverware or tableware, touch only the handle ends, never the food contact ends. When handling glasses, touch only the outer parts of the glass, never the inner food contact surfaces. When handling plates, touch only the edge or bottom of the plate, never the food contact surface. And when handling bowls, handle only the outer or bottom part of the bowl, never the inner food contact surface. Equipment and single-use items must be stored to prevent contamination. Store them in a clean, dry location. Always cover or protect the cleaned food contact surfaces of equipment. When putting items into storage, make sure they are dry. Never stack wet cups, pans, or plates. When presenting silverware or tableware, regardless of whether or not it is single-use or multi-use, always present it so that the handle end is facing towards the customer, never the food contact surface. In a food establishment, wiping cloths may not be used for drying hands. You may use moist cloths with sanitizer solution for wiping counters, cutting boards, and other food contact surfaces. You must use separate cloths for food contact and non-food contact surfaces. Any type of a container or chemical or potential chemical must be labeled with the common name for the contents. Food pests that can be found in food establishments include things such as rodents, like rats or mice, insects such as flies, cockroaches, or moths, birds, or stored grain pests. In temporary food establishments, your best option is to keep food pests out of the establishment. Keep the doors and windows closed, and screen any outer openings to prevent entry of pests. Keep foods covered to prevent the pests from contaminating them. And if you do get pests in the establishment, kill them in such a way so as not to contaminate foods. Do not use fly swatters. Also, make sure to use only appropriate insecticides that are labeled for use in food establishments. Water used in a temporary food establishment must be from an approved municipal source. If delivered to the temporary establishment by a hose, they must be reinforced food-grade hoses. Water hydrants or spigots must be equipped with backflow prevention devices. Any sewage generated in a temporary food establishment may not be dumped directly onto the ground. All liquid waste must go into an approved sewer system. Any garbage generated in a temporary food establishment must be disposed of in a proper way. If you use garbage dumpsters, make sure to keep the lids closed. This is the end of Part 4. Your final test code is TE.